Welcome to another Mindfulness Monday, a nice practice session to get the week started in a positive way, hopefully. So tonight we're going to be practicing something called the lake meditation. And it isn't one that I frequently guide. It's sort of goes with the mountain meditation. It's in the same sort of category of meditations in a way, and so we can explore that tonight. What might be best, if it's possible for you, where you are right now, is to lie down for this practice. So just taking a few moments now to find something to lie down on. Could be a bed, could be a yoga mat, could be a rug on the floor or a blanket. So yes, just coming to a lying down posture. But if necessary, you can just sit in a chair or on cushions on the floor. But perhaps this practice having a little bit more of a sense of just resting, not straining to hold ourselves upright, which is why lying down is quite a nice option. Before we begin the actual practice itself, I just wanted to mention that at the top up last week, the top up practice session at St Catherine's Village Hall, we explored through our practice that night the sixth of the, I'm getting confused now, might even have been the seventh of the attitudinal foundations of mindfulness that John Kabat-Zinn identified. And this one is the mindfulness attitude of letting go. So I think this practice goes quite well with that theme of letting go. And if you remember, last month we were looking at acceptance, and this is very much in the same mode in a way. In fact, they all are. They're all kind of different facets of and aspects of mindfulness. So they inevitably do overlap and to some extent interchange with one another. So with letting go, what might that mean? Well, perhaps we can automatically get a sense of that, what that might mean. But we can perhaps notice it in relation particularly to the way that we are constantly, throughout the day, throughout our waking hours, we're constantly reacting to things with either an attitude of liking them and wanting to hold on to them, or not liking them and wanting to push them away. And what goes along with that is an impulse to do just that, to grab on, to grasp onto something, or to let it go. And so at the end of this Monday that you've experienced in whatever way particular to you, a unique set of circumstances that will have arisen for you today, perhaps just being aware through this practice of where there is that kind of leftover feelings perhaps from the day, how they are influencing you right now, and to what extent are you able to notice where you're either holding on or pushing away in your experience. So that can be something we can play with a bit tonight through the practice. So if you've just joined me, just to say again that this practice, probably recommended to lie down for this practice if you can. Okay, so now if you're in your lying down position, closing your eyes, settling your body, and just letting go. Just letting any holding, any resistance in the body, letting go just as best you can. It might be a gradual unwinding process. So lying down, settling the body along the floor, feeling back of the body in contact with the ground. And those particular places where you particularly feel those, most strongly, those contact sensations. And noticing if there's any holding, any pulling away almost from the floor, resisting its support, and seeing if we can trust the floor to support us as we let go into that support. And being aware of the whole body lying here, from the head through the neck and shoulders, the back of the body, the front of the upper body, the hips and buttocks, pelvic girdle, the belly, thighs, knees, lower legs and feet and toes. And of course not forgetting the arms and the hands and the fingers. So spreading yourself out on the floor, almost as if you're slightly melting on contact with the ground. And what might help with this is to find your breath now, to come to a sense of the breath and to begin to let your awareness fall into step with the breath, feeling the in-breath filling up into the lungs and the upper body and the back of the body, and then relaxing and letting go on the out-breath. So even in this simple movement of breathing in and breathing out, we can get in contact with this movement of letting go, because that's exactly what we have to do with the out breath. We have to let it go. And remembering that at any point in this practice, you can always just simply come back to the breath, following the breath or feeling the body, the contact of the body with the floor or sensations in the body. And if you'd rather just continue to lie here and breathe and notice body sensations and practice letting go, that's absolutely fine. Letting yourself be your own wise judge of how best to work with this time of practice. So now if this is okay with you, I'd like to suggest that you bring to mind now an image of a lake. So this might be a lake that you, in your imagination, or it might be a lake that you know, that you visited. So just picturing this lake in your mind's eye. It might be quite a small lake or a very broad, expansive lake. might be quite shallow, or it might have great depths. It might be of a kind of greenish hue or blue, perhaps turquoisey or azure kind of blue. Perhaps getting a sense of how how the body of water in a lake has settled at the lowest point. It's kind of held in a basin in the earth, a natural container for the water to settle and spread out. So if you like, this is the default of the lake, to be still and settled. But perhaps on your lake right now, you're imagining waves, either little wavelets running across, pushed by the wind, or going in all directions, choppy, with lots of cross currents and crosswinds. Or maybe some gentle undulation across the surface of the lake. So just getting a feel for that now. What's happening with your lake right now? Noticing how, when the lake is still, everything in the sky and around the lake is reflected in the lake. Trees, rocks, grassy banks, and the clouds moving overhead. And how there may be birds flying across the lake, or landing on the surface of the lake, or skimming across the lake. And then at night, the moon comes out, perhaps the stars are out as well, and they too are reflected in the surface of the lake, and the dark shadows of trees and rocks, hills, mountains. So the lake, when it reflects what's around it and above it, kind of holds everything in itself on the surface. But then the wind might stir up waves and kind of splinter those reflections, chop them up. But there might be dazzling, glittering light playing across the surface of the lake. The reflections may be distorted or broken up, but there may be a sense of great liveliness and movement on the surface of the lake, with the play of the light and the currents moving across the lake in different directions, making different kinds of patterns. And then in the winter, perhaps the lake is completely frozen or partly frozen. Birds, water birds, walking on the surface of the ice. And great life still going on underneath. Fish, plants, living underneath the icy surface. So now, having visualized and got in contact with the sense of the lake, maybe even engaging your other senses of smell and touch, hearing, I'd like to invite you to bring the lake within yourself, within your own experience. So you and the lake become one. So if you're lying down, you too, like the lake, rest on the earth, letting your energies pool, letting this basin that contains you hold all your experience right now, whatever it might be. Being one with the lake, holding all your experiences, just as the lake holds all of itself and the life within it. As you lie here, perhaps considering and sensing into how your lake is right now. Maybe the waters are quite muddy, stirred up by different currents and forces that have been in play today for you. Perhaps the surface of your lake is very choppy, lots of waves, lots of movement that are kind of taking up seemingly the whole space of your awareness. And so perhaps just allowing this to be as it is, however we are right now, recognizing that just as the lake is acted upon by light, wind, different kinds of weather, different seasons, different visitors, so we too are at any given moment in a way of being that reflects the energies that are in play for us at the moment. Our different thoughts and feelings, emotions, different physical experiences. So just sensing into what's here for you now in your lake and what's around you as well. What's being reflected in your experience right now. And perhaps as you notice what's here, what's reflected in your lake, what's most active on the surface, perhaps also contacting a deeper sense of what lies beneath, the depths of your awareness that kind of hold and contain the comings and goings in our experience. Seeing if we can get in touch with a sense of that depth, that vastness. lying and breathing. And if your mind begins to wander away from focusing on this sense of your lake, the lake-likeness of your experience, just gently bringing it back. And perhaps even beginning to let go of the lake image altogether. And for the last period of practice, just being with our experience moment by moment, lying here or sitting here. Seeing if we can move our attention around between the different aspects of our experience in each successive moment. So now perhaps more of an awareness of the body lying or sitting, or other physical sensations that are going on for us. Hunger or fullness, tiredness or restlessness, whatever it might be. And any thoughts that might be circulating, perhaps certain themes of thoughts that keep coming and going, coming and going. What's the sensitivity of your experience, the feelings and emotions right now? Maybe some sadness, or some happiness, some joy. Just acknowledging that. And just now following the breath, perhaps placing your hands on your belly. Just resting your awareness on the breath, bringing yourself back to the simple awareness of being here now, lying on the floor or sitting. And when you're ready in a moment, perhaps having a stretch or a wriggle, whatever feels called for right now, and then rolling over and coming back to sitting. But I'll just ring the bell first of all to end the practice. So, yes, just bearing in mind as well that you can call on this lake image if you find it helpful in your daily life. Just this sense of being able to hold all your experience, and also well, to hold it in a bigger space of awareness. which is the lake, and also acknowledging that, because sometimes when things are happening, we feel very caught up in them, and they have a sort of sense of permanence about them, particularly the unpleasant experiences. It feels like it's always going to be this way, and it might be worth bringing to mind the lake image to remind ourselves that we can move on and let go, because inevitably things will change and move on. Yes, so that's the lake meditation. And the recording will be here to come back to. I notice on the live chat that a couple of you have had problems with tuning in tonight. So I hope those got resolved as it went on, and I hope that the recording will be okay. So I do apologise for that. It's always a bit of a mystery how it's going to go. And with the live streaming, so far it's been okay, but I guess there will be times when it won't be very smooth. But thank you for bearing with it. And yes, I'm not sure about next Monday. I think I should be able to do a live stream next Monday. It's the bank holiday, but I will let you know. Okay, well, thanks again, and have a very good rest of the evening and a good week too.